Hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we're live on a Sunday afternoon, which means it's time for us to talk about coping with stress. And I know that I did have a note up earlier in the week to say that we're going to be talking about apologies today. But hello, we're going to apologize about that because I'm going to be doing that next week. I put it in the wrong week. All right. Because today we're going to be talking a little bit about Father's Day. And particularly, I decided I would look at father figures rather than just fathers because there are an awful lot of mothers who are father figures for their children because they were forced to be, and I want to make sure we don't leave them out. And for all of you who this Father's Day are grieving being on your own when you're expected not to be, I get that. And my heart and soul goes out to you, and I hope that you make it through today, knowing that each Father's Day as it comes along, life gets a little easier. The memory doesn't go away, the pain just isn't quite as strong. And that's the important thing to remember. And I just wanted to say that yesterday was Alice's birthday. For those of you who um, know Alice, uh, just hold on one second. From Denmark, otherwise called Ace. It was her birthday yesterday, so I hope she had a wonderful day. If she happens to see this, I sent her lots of love and big hugs and yet another birthday, right? And hi to Jeannie, who's there. And Jeannie, thank you. I believe Jodie's going to be a little bit late. Jodie being our regular admin, and Jeannie does a great job of standing in when Jodie has something that gets in her way for a little while, but she is going to be here just a little late. Thoughts and prayers continued, please, for Sharon and her family as her father is in hospice. As far as I haven't got an update, I did send out some hugs to her, hoping that all is well. And obviously to Kelly, Eric, and the family, this will be a very difficult Father's Day, just days after, a couple of weeks after, well, less than her daddy passed. So thoughts and prayers go out to you as well. I also wanted to say that Kristen, if you who was a new viewer that popped in, I know that she underwent some, or new to us viewer. She might have been an old viewing for a long time, but she'd never talked to us before. She was undergoing an embryo transfer, so we're hoping that all went well for her. So if we missed your birthday or an important day to you and you're a regular viewer, or even if we don't know that you are, you know what I mean? If you're a regular background viewer, you know that you maybe listen to the broadcast but don't necessarily join in on the chat. Let us know if there are days that are important to you so we can keep them in our database. Today, I want to talk a little bit about how creativity beats stress. And I didn't realize that I was stressed this week, but I guess I must have been because I wasn't sleeping well. And that's normally an indication that things are a couple of indications in my life. If my house starts to look really untidy, that normally is a good indication that I'm under stress, even if I don't know it. And because it means that life is not going normally. I'm not getting up and doing the things normally, tidying up and normal doing this and normal doing that. Hi, it's good to see you as well. So I wonder if any of you relate to that. Do any of you find that when you're under stress, things don't go on, quite the way they used to? I just want to get this off. I've got a lot of sun coming through that window right now. And if so, make sure you take note of it because it is easy to ignore it, and I recommend that you don't. Now, talking about creativity, first of all, I have to say, how many of you just love that rose? And what I wanted to show you is that when you see something as beautiful and as complex as that rose, um, and unfortunately you can't smell it, isn't it amazing how it just makes you feel better? Don't ask me the name of this one, I have no idea. But this one I can tell you is my Lady Gardener, the Lady Gardener rose. And it has brought me such joy ever since I bought it. I paid an arm and a leg for it and a couple of bodies, but I want to tell you, every time it blooms petals from heaven. Do you know what I mean? It just, to me, it just is just, I waited a long time for you to bloom, and thank you. It's well worth the effort. And that's why sometimes in life, it's a good idea to stop and stop spending your money somewhere where it's wasted, and put your money somewhere where it's creative and going to bring you ongoing joy, not just once in your lifetime. It's just going to keep giving you joy as long as you look after it, like most things in life, I guess. Now, I had some hot weather come in, and what I noticed was my air conditioner wasn't working well. In other words, it was still getting up to something like 89 degrees or something, or 85 degrees in my living room. And that's where the air conditioner is. And I'm going, it's not that hot yet. So obviously something is wrong. And I've got to show you what was wrong. And what confuses me is this was wrong last year, but it wasn't a problem. For some reason it was this year, and I'll tell you what I think it was. So I've got one of those freestanding air conditioners. Okay, so it just stands in my living room like this. And then it has a hose pipe that comes like this and goes to a window. Now, to be fair, I've got an ottoman that sits here. So I'm going to draw this going the other way. Okay, so what I did is I had the hose coming along here and then out of the window there. Can you see that? And I couldn't work out why this was not working as well as it should. So being creative, I got out my meat thermometer. Again, another thing I spent a little bit extra money on, and I have not regretted it. I want to take my temperature. I can use this. You know what I mean? I use it for so many different things. It is amazing. But what I did this week is I thought, let me first of all take out my thermometer, do everything thermometer, and find out what is the temperature. What is the temperature near that hose? And the temperature near that hose was over 80 degrees Fahrenheit, all around that hose. I had a heating system going rather than a cooling system. So I got really creative. I'm going to take a picture and show you. Hold on a second. A picture paints 1,000 words, so I thought I'd show you rather than just tell you. So what I did was I moved the whole vent thing over so that it vented out here. And that allowed me to have a very short hose. Can you see that? At the back of my air conditioner, it goes straight out now. And instead of having a long hose like this, it now has a short hose like this. Therefore, the amount of hot air is minimized. But then I also realized, because I had the thermometer with me and I was doing tests on it, what was also happening when it was along here and then vented out here was that it was leaking hot air from here, both ends of it. So I don't know if you can see, but what I did was I did quite a bit of research and got some proper HVAC, a heating venting type foil. What do you call it? Heating and venting duct tape. Can you see that at the end there? And there's more here. What have I got on the end of my stylus? Don't know. Anyway, the good news is the temperature now coming out of my air conditioner is 62 degrees Fahrenheit, and I can feel the difference. Yay. but I had to get really creative to solve the problem. But as you all know, that's how I live my life. I love these things when they happen. I don't know if any of you have noticed this, but I noticed that there have been an increase on scams on social media. Any of you find any this week? I want to keep mentioning them when I see them because I want you to know that they're about. One of them told me there was a problem with my BMO PIN thing, and needed me to talk to them about it, and talk at this link. Well, the good news is I am smart enough to know that I don't bank with BMO. Therefore, this is a scam. That was an easy one to spot, right? If you don't bank with them, obviously it's a scam. So be very careful about anything like this that comes to you via, that came to me via my phone. What do you call it? Texting. So, really be careful. The second one came to me via my email, and it thanked me for paying about $600 US on PayPal for something. Well, first of all, I think if I'd spent $600 US, yes, there's a lot of money, I would know about it. So when it said, thank you for spending this money on PayPal, but we need you to do X, Y, and Z, I went, And what I did is I printed it out because I wanted to show you if you are concerned about these emails, here are the places to look. The first place I looked was take a second look at the address, the subject thing right here. And this subject thing actually says pay, P-A apostrophe Y. So your mind, when you first read it, you just read PayPal. You don't notice that there's a mistake there. And here's my logic. Do you think PayPal would not have had a spell check on that? First red flag. Second red flag. Read the email from where it was sent. Okay? Here. All right? That email, haven't got my glasses here, but that email came from somebody that looked like a personal one at gmail.com. I don't think so. I don't think PayPal is sending their emails out on Gmail. The third one, the third red flag, if I needed it, which I didn't, but the third one was over here. Can you see this? And it says that it's translated from the Czech, as in Czechoslovakia. And then I just went, really? So here I did. Whenever you get something and you think it might be a scam, well, here's what I do. Number one, check the name. Number two, check the email. And number three, check elsewhere, because you will nearly always find you've got all the reasons to block that email for the rest of its living days. And that's what I did. So please let me know if you come across any scams in your life so we can share them with people so we can all learn. I wanted to talk to you about this. I woke up yesterday morning, and it was amazing. I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning. That's not that would have been unusual at the best of times. But I'd only gone to bed at about 3, to sleep. I went to bed about 2, but I only went to sleep about 3. So to wake up wide awake at 5 o'clock was very unusual. And I thought, why have I woken up so awake? All right. I don't believe in coincidences. So I asked my mind, what's going on? And it said, I have an idea. And I said, at 5 o'clock in the morning, actually, I used another word in there as well. But I said, at 5 o'clock in the morning, yeah, you want to go try it? I went, okay, what's the idea? And it said, well, you're making your soap bars. Yes. Well, you need to have little soap boxes to go with your soap bars. And I went, really? This you need to tell me at 5 o'clock in the morning? Yes, but I have a couple of ideas for you. And I went, okay. So the first thing was I had to get to my confetti corner, as I call it, where I do my crafting. And I hadn't been there for quite a while, as you know. And I want to tell you that it was difficult to get in there because I had used it as a dumping station for all sorts of things. So the first half hour was just trying to clear the way so I could get my computer turned on and my machine, die cutter machine turned on. So I got them all turned on, and then I said, okay, fine, what's this bright idea? And they said, you can make a custom-sized box for your soap. I said, really? Boxes are not easy to make, you know. And it went, yes, but you can do this. And it was so funny because I kept listening to what my mind was telling me, and I just kept doing what it told me to do. One box, just the right size for the lavender mint soap. Look at that. And then just a perfect little box. And the interesting thing is, the aroma is not coming out a lot. If you smell it at the end, yeah, you can smell the aroma, which is a good thing because you want people to be able to smell it, but you don't want it, you know, overwhelming. So really nice. Hi, how you doing, Sandy? So simple, right? Then I realized that wasn't the end of the story. For some reason, my mind had another plan and said, now you do know you can have anything you like on that box. So I said, for instance, they said, well, why don't you print a pattern for the box? You know, so print the pattern first and then cut the box. And I went, okay. So I did. I printed the pattern and then cut the box. Cute, huh? You have no idea how pleasing that was to me. I don't know if you can feel it, but it was just like, look at that, I can do that. And then I went, is that it? And they said, no, we got another idea. And I went, really? And now? They said, what about your artwork? And I said, what about it? And they said, what if you took pictures of your artwork and used it as the cover of your soaps? Why would I do that? And they said, just because. So what I did, I want to show you the picture I took first. So this picture, you may or may not have seen before. It hangs on my wall in my bedroom. Beautiful, right? And I love it to bits. So I took a picture of it. And actually, here's a better, it's closer up one of it. Isn't it beautiful? So then I took a picture of it and I printed the picture and then I printed a box from the picture. Cute or what? Really happy with that. So, which way round? Any way round. But it wasn't the end of the creative time. When I was tying the knot, you understand I've got arthritis, and tying a delicate knot like that is very difficult for me now. And as I was trying to do it, my mind says, what you need now is something to clamp it together while you tie the knot. And I'm going, I don't have anything for that. And my mind said, yes, you do. You always have everything you need. You just need to remember. So I went, what have I got? I know, isn't it pretty? So you imagine having people know, you know, a lot of people know that piece of artwork because they love it. You know, people who come in and know me well, they love that piece of artwork. So, the fact you can give them a box that's part of my artwork with my homemade soap inside, what do you think? Okay. So here's the thing. I'm going to untie this. Now, I might not be able to do it right in front of you. Maybe I can. I've just got to be creative, right? Oh, this one's got a double knot on it. But I can still show you. Need something to hold it up. It's not what a press and seal box was made for, but there we go. Can you see? Need it a bit higher. We can do this. Oh, put a box under it, huh? Okay, that's good. Okay. We can do this. So here's what I found out. If you are a crafter, we know that works. That's the important thing. If you're a crafter, you probably have seen these, but if you're not a crafter, you may not. These are crafting tweezers. And unlike regular tweezers, crafting tweezers, when you press them, they open. See that? So when you don't press them, they are constantly held together. Now you're going, why would you ever want that? I assure you, when you're using little bits of paper and doing stuff, it's really important to have a pair of tweezers like this. And I've got these curved ones, and I've also got straight ones that do the same thing. So here is the thing. What I found was, nope. Why would that? Should have been enough. It isn't. Yes, it is. Here's what I found. Imagine that this is now me tying the first knot, okay? And I've just tied this, but the problem is, how do I do the rest of it without this knot undoing? I took the tweezers and I just clamped the knot like this. And now it left me all the time in the world to do the rest of the, I'm going to do it down here because I can't do it at that angle. To just tie the rest of the knot. So if any of you are thinking about a present to give yourself for Christmas, I didn't do that very well, but you get the idea. Right? So any of you are thinking, a present to give yourself for Christmas, it is really an amazing tool for if you tie up presents with string or anything else, and you don't have somebody to put their thumb down for you. Buy a pair of these. So, and now I'm thinking, okay, fine. I've been up since 5 o'clock. Now, how many times do you think that the box didn't go as well as I wanted it to? So there was sort of prototype 1, and then I think the orange one was prototype 2. And I think that because it's orange, and I always are looking for ways to use up orange. I have, cardstock comes with a variety of colors, and, I never know what to do with the orange. So it's very useful for doing testers of things. So here we go. So I know that was one of my prototypes. And then I got onto printing your own, design, and then doing the box, and boy, that worked well, so I was happy. And then the last thing I did was to do a series of these. I've done about 6 of these already. So, but that took me about 12 hours start to finish. But how good was that for my brain? Let's see if you all know. Why was that a good thing for my brain? All right. And the reason I want you to think about this is because sometimes we get in a rut because our mind isn't being creative. We're just doing humdrum stuff, cleaning and tidying and cooking and da-da-da-da. There's nothing that uses the brain to its capacity in any way. And that's what I wanted to just talk to you a little bit about, because I believe that using my brain in that way, just trying to get back to my quotes here somewhere, really helped me. All right. Really helped me relax. It really helped me realize that I was still, still had the ability to use my hands properly, even though I've got arthritis. I could still do that. I felt such achievement, when I got these boxes started and they started to go in the right way. It was so exciting to me. And what I'd forgotten is I used to spend at least one day a week in my craft room. And here's what I noticed. Even when I had finished doing all the box ideas, I had to make myself stop because I went 12 hours is enough. Now you need to get up and get on with your life. And then two things happened. Number one, I suddenly was very creative. Suddenly I was looking at my day timer and planning all sorts of things that I hadn't planned before. Do you know what I mean? It was just like it went, oh yeah, and now I need to work that out and come up with an idea for this. Oh yeah, that would do. And I literally found that my whole brain had been energized in a way that it wasn't 24 hours before that. I was very slug-like in my brain before that. And then after I'd done all that planning, you can probably imagine by now my brain's a bit tired. It's been working probably 16 hours nonstop. Yes, exactly. Well, it wasn't a dream as much as it was stuff that came to me as I woke up. These ideas didn't come to me in a dream. They came to me as I woke up. And if you read any of the autobiographies, Jeannie, of a lot of the inventors, some dream the answers and some tell you that the answer came just when they woke up in the morning. So I know to listen, yeah, other than the bit that says you need to go to the washroom. But, I've learned to listen to my brain when it does strange things like wake me up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm going, okay, and what is this? And it wasn't to go to the washroom. It had an idea and it wanted to tell me about it. And it wanted me to do it now. Isn't that strange? I like this quote about father images. It said, "True maturity is only reached when a man realizes he has become a father figure to his girlfriend's boyfriend, and he can accept it." I think that's a beautiful quote, don't you? Because that must be so difficult to let your daughter into the hands of another man and then become that man's father figure. Yeah, that's quite something. That's quite a transition. So I want to say that it was amazing to me how I had got so busy doing mundane stuff. I had stopped going to Confetti Corner to go play. And now I realize it was a major mistake in my life because my brain had started to become boring. You know what I mean? It just wasn't firing on all those cylinders anymore. So do any of you know what I'm talking about? And what is it that you need to do in your creativity? It doesn't have to be in the craft room making boxes for your soap. Maybe you find going out and gardening and getting the fruits of your labors adds to your creativity. I don't know about you, but every time I go out into my garden while I'm watering it, I'm thinking, and what is your next dream for this garden? Because if you remember, I moved in here 2 years ago and it didn't really have much of a garden. And now I've just about beginning to get, a garden that begins to look like somebody cares about it. And most of it's in planters because I don't want to waste water. I'm also doing creative things. I've got a big maple tree outside my front here. And what I'm doing is I am hanging planters on the branches of the maple tree to force the maple tree to canopy out over so that I'm getting to the point now where I can sit under a a weeping, if you like, maple tree, because I'm doing a sort of bonsai thing. All right, Jeannie's saying, sometimes I wake up and find things I need to do and make a mental list of them for when I wake up. Yeah, I can't make mental lists anymore. I found that I am forgetting way too much. And I have got a system now. I mean, I'm envious of it. Let me just show you. Hold on. What I found was, I'm making notes to myself quite often, and then I got so overwhelmed with bits of paper all over the place, and I said, I need to get a better way of doing this. And yes, I want them in my computer, or I want them, and then I went, something? You need to put all the notes into one place and keep those notes, because sometimes you need to go back to them. So I now have a book into which I write all my everyday notes, ideas as they come up and so forth. And then once a week I go through and just see, okay, which ones have I dealt with and which ones need to go into my computer system now, and which ones need more action or whatever. And I'm amazed at how many notes I put in a day. And this is one, because I have a completely separate notebook for notes that I make for something else that I'm doing, because, I have one for my craft corner now, because if I keep all those notes in here, it means I'm going to keep coming back to this book. So when I'm in craft corner, the idea, the confetti corner, when all those ideas come up, then I write them in that book, because that needs to stay there. Alice Walker said, it no longer bothers me that I may be constantly searching for father figures. By this time, no, I found several and dearly enjoyed knowing them all. For those of you who lost a father or lost your father figure, you do understand that there are two sorts of parents in the world, those that you were born with and those that you choose. And I really want to encourage you that if you still need a father figure in your life, for whatever reason, it is so good to go get one. I know that all the time that I was working, one of the things I made sure I did was I became a sort of de facto daughter to a lot of people with really good brains, right? Because every now and then I wouldn't know how to do something. So what I would do is I would phone one of my father figures and I go, can I buy you coffee? No, sir, let's go for lunch. Okay. I just need to pick your brain. Of course, and I would go to lunch, and nearly always they would pick it where they wanted to go. And I went, okay, that's good. Thank you. And we'd sit and talk and brainstorm all through lunch, because they knew that's what I wanted to do. And then at the end, I'd go to pay, and they go, of course you're not paying. And I'm going, yeah, but you came out to lunch, because of me, and therefore I need to, pay for lunch, And it was so cute, because I realized that they loved the fact that I respected their wisdom to that degree. And, we always laughed a lot, and quite often I got to solve some of their problems as well, because my creativity was in a different place. And one of the, I always remember meeting a really arrogant guy one day. And this guy said, well, of course, I've got 6 PhDs and this, that, and the other. And I said, oh, that means you're smart? Or does that mean that you're good at retaining useless information? I just, want to know. And because, I said, I can't help but notice you're the one driving the VW Beetle, and I'm the one driving the BMW. So all your smartness obviously hasn't paid off in some way for you. And he said, I know, it makes me sick. And I said, think about that. So you understand, we don't ever discount the fact that you might not have all the degrees that you wanted in the world or all the education that you wanted in the world or whatever, because your creativity, your street smarts, your all those things, are so valuable in the world. And all these people who are what I call book smart, um, they don't sometimes have everyday logic. And it always amazes me how many times, I've been in a boardroom or something else in my life where all these very smart people had a problem. And then somebody would just go, well, what if we just do this? And everybody would sort of go, what? You see, it was too simple. Jeannie's saying the only father figure to her was her father, right, who listened and gave me good advice. Yes, you're lucky that you had that in your father. You understand, Jeannie, part of what I wanted to make sure we acknowledge today is not everybody had that in their father. They didn't have a father figure in their father. I remember saying to one guy that I dated, who had a son, I said, my biggest fear in life is that you will teach your son everything you know about women. And he said, what? I said, give that some thought. I just want you to know, this may be the last time I see you. My biggest fear in life is that you will teach your son everything that you know about women and therefore create a mini me. Please don't do that to your son. And so, as we look at Father's Day, understand that not everybody had a good father, but we can have father figures. And for a lot of people, their father figure was their mother because she had to be. Or maybe it was an uncle, or maybe a friend of the family. But just because we get old doesn't mean we don't need a father figure. All right? And I find now that almost the roles are reversed. I'm now looking for a son figure. You know, um, but it's really important to know that we all need this, right? How about this one? My father gave me the greatest gift anyone could give another person. He believed in me. He believed in me. And I'm hoping that you all had a father who did. Ginny, can you say that to me again in different words? Because I'm not quite getting what you're asking me. Jeannie's saying, my brother hardly ever took my father's advice, and I did. Yeah, it's, and it's just like there is a great deal, I think there's a great deal of wisdom that we miss. But so therefore, I think it's also incumbent on us to help our children and grandchildren listen to the wisdom of the ages and do it in such a way and saying, you know something, this probably doesn't sound like a good idea to you right now, but I want you to still hear what your daddy said. All right? Because later on in life, you're going to realize this was good information he gave you, and don't discount it just because you're a teenager. Yeah, Jeannie is saying my brother was headstrong and didn't listen well. I want to tell you, I'm headstrong. I still don't listen well. But on the other hand, it is really important. Ginny's asking, what did you give your dad? Ginny, at 75, I have to tell you, I gave him some memories because he's been long gone. He's been gone over 20 years. So, and he wasn't my father figure. He left when I was about 4, and I didn't meet him again until I was about in my 30s, I think, late 30s. Was when I met him as an adult. So he was never a father to me. He was somebody who happened to be my biological father. Does that make sense? And there are all those incredible stepfathers that have taken on the role of father. to so many children around the world. And it's really important. And some of these father figures are women. And that's what I want to make sure we acknowledge, that it doesn't matter who it is that is the father figure, but it is really important to make sure we thank them. It is said that I believe that what we become depends on what our fathers teach us at odd moments, when they aren't trying to teach us. We are formed by those little scraps of wisdom, which was the thing that Jeannie was talking about. She listened to those little scraps of wisdom that her father gave her. I always found when I was down with Benji and the girls, some of the most precious moments of passing information backwards and forwards to Juliana would be when she and I were doing art projects. I would teach her about mistakes. I would teach, by making a mistake, when we were doing an art project, and then I'd go, by the time you get my age, you'll find out that this, and this, and then I do something else, and I go, something, Juliana, by the time you're my age, you're going to know that it's okay to do that. You can do it. Jody's saying, my parents were my heroes. They worked so hard to give my brother and I a nice childhood. They were always present in my life. I lost them too soon, and I miss them dearly. Yes. And Judy's saying, your father always gave you love, right? No, he was never there. I didn't see him from the age 4 to when I was an adult, till I was an adult. So no, he never gave me any love. I didn't see him or hear from him or anything, Ginny. My stepfather gave me lots of love in strange ways. He was very generous and sent me to good schools and did all those sort of things. But he wasn't what I call a huggy feeling sort of father. And we didn't have a lot of magical moments together. Oh, interesting. Jeannie's saying my dad taught me about restraint and how to deal with money. It helped me a lot. Yeah, that's so good. I'm glad to hear that. Stephen Colbert said a father has to be a provider, a teacher, a role model, but most importantly, a distant authority figure who can never be pleased. Otherwise, how will children ever understand the concept of God? Let me read that again, because I think it's very wise, all right? A father has to be a provider, a teacher, a role model, but most importantly, a distant authoritarian figure who can never be pleased. Otherwise, how will children ever understand the concept of God? But in that, I also think that if we're constantly trying to please our fathers and get their approval, it also does a number on your psyche, right? Jenny's saying fathers always good support to their children. Yes, mine wasn't. Mine never paid a cent. All right, and Jeannie's saying, my dad was very kind to everybody. He was quiet and down to earth. And look at you, Jeannie. Look what he passed on to you. All right? You who are so kind to everybody and who quietly goes about your coping with your life, and definitely very down to earth. And that's what we love about you. It is said that anybody can be a father, but it takes a special somebody to become a dad. Would you agree? Oh, Jeannie says, I feel the opposite. I talk too much. Something, there's great wisdom in what you have to say. And, I know that when you say things that you do, you say them with love. I have so appreciated your wisdom in the time that you have shared with us. So appreciated your wisdom. And, your ability to handle difficult subjects, it just blows me away, because not many people can debate the way that you can. And it's one of the things I really appreciate about you, is that I know I can debate things with you and that you won't run away or think I'm being nasty or whatever. And it has been so valuable when we've needed to talk about stuff where we're on different sides of the fence. And I know that you'll always give us your truth, and I know that you will always do it politely. And that, to me, is not easily learned. So who did you learn that from? Right, Jenny's saying a father should also help their children follow the right path. But Jenny, excuse me, hang on a second. I also know some great fathers whose children went totally down the wrong path, and there's nothing they could do to stop them. They mixed in with the wrong crowd at school, and then from there mixed in with the wrong crowd after school, and then, ended up on drugs and their fathers were wonderful people who literally, would take them out of drugs and put them in rehab you know, and do it time and time and time again. And they just all went back to the wrong path. And then you realize sometimes as hard as you try, you cannot be a good father to everybody. All right. And sometimes that is the lesson. We have a choice. And isn't that true of our Heavenly Father? Gives us choice all the time. And I am certain that a lot of you recognize that we all have the same choices to make. And I am certain some of you sit there and shake your heads when you see the choices some people have made. But if you believe in a Heavenly Father, he's sitting up there going, I can't believe that she did that. But that's her choice. And one day she will learn that was not a good choice. Yeah. So, but Jenny, I want to say it's wonderful that you know that this is what a father should look like and sound like if you were given an ideal father. And I hope that you were. And, I think about, we've got some viewers that we know that were not given a very supportive father. And yet they are doing their best to be there, to do their own learning. They're learning all those things that a father might have taught them, but they're learning it through the internet. And it's incredible. Jody's saying my brother was an example of that, right? When he started high school, he got mixed up with the wrong crowd that influenced his behavior, and he became an alcoholic. It ultimately claimed his life at the age of 50. Yeah. And it isn't about, it isn't about that your parents necessarily did anything wrong. And it's so easy to blame the parents. And quite honestly, if you've ever known an addict, then you will know it's beyond their control as well in so many ways. There's so many underlying issues that need to be dealt with to get an addict out of being an addict. And believe me, I know. I smoked cigarettes for most of my life. I am certain your parents were heartbroken because there was nothing they could do to help him. It was choices that he needed to make. And yet, I've met people who have been alcoholics that got clean, and understand that every day they still fight being an alcoholic. I have met drug addicts who got clean and know that any day they could go back to taking drugs. It's an addiction. And it's one of the reasons when I go in for an operation, I try very hard not to stay on those opioids very long. All right. Because I know I've got an addictive personality. I was addicted to cigarettes most of my life. And so I don't want to be on a painkiller, to deal with pain. I want to be able to handle it pretty well myself. A good father is one of the most unsung, unpraised, unnoticed, and yet one of the most valuable assets in our society. Kristen, sorry, let me just finish that. That was by Billy Graham. Kristen, how did the transfer go? I did mention it at the top of the program, so we were all thinking about you and hoping that everything went well. Jeannie is saying, I was wild from the age of about 19 through to my late 20s. I spent the rest of my life trying to do better, repenting my earlier sins. Oh, mine would have been from about 17 to 22, I would think, somewhere in there were my wild days. Yeah. But Jeannie, it's hard for me to believe that you were wild. But I do believe you if you tell me that. And one day you will quietly tell me how wild. And somebody said about their father, he didn't tell me how to live. He lived and let me watch him do it. You remember what I said to that one boyfriend? I pray that you do not teach your son everything you know about women. Okay. So Kristen said it went great. Thank you for asking. Hoping for good news next week that we were successful. Kristen, please let us know, because although it probably is difficult for you to understand this, Jody and I have been talking about you ever since we heard that. And Jeannie has as well. So, privately. So from this point of view, you were in our system. We knew it was happening. And we do want to know if it all goes well. And then we will hold our breath for about 3 months, right? But isn't that fun? I'm so happy that it all went well so far. And we will pray for you that it continues. Jody, let's put up thoughts and prayers. Can we do that, Kristen? Is that all right if we put up thoughts and prayers for you? I don't know how to word that. If anybody can come up with the right words that are respectful on that issue, I don't want to. I'm thinking of some fun ways of wording that, but maybe some of you can help me. I want to tell you, we got a very powerful lot of people who pray, and I definitely would want to give you all the support I can. Carl Jackson said, I felt like a lost father figure. We spent so much time together, and I really feel like I lost a parent. Mr. Stevens gave me so many opportunities, and being at the Masters just won't be the same without him being around. Isn't that interesting? So sometimes we lose that person who wasn't our father, but was our father figure. And that's just as devastating, or maybe worse. A father is neither an anchor to hold us back or a sail to take us, excuse me, to take us there, but a guiding light whose love shows us the way. All right. And I want you to think about that. And again, think about all the children with two fathers. They get twice as much, right? Who said this? Oh, a name I couldn't pronounce if I tried. You don't want me trying to pronounce that. Said, I'm very moved by the chaos theory and the sense of energy, that quantum physics. We don't really, in Hindu tradition, have a father figure of God, but of a cosmic energy, a little spark, which is inside every individual's soul. So some of you, may not believe in the Almighty Father figure. Maybe you have a different perception, and that's okay. I'm a great believer that we all have that being in our midst if we choose to have it. You remember, it is amazing. One of the great mantras of my time. I'm not joking. If I think back through my life, one of the mantras I have always said, and I mean no disrespect from this, but I cannot tell you how many times I have tried to do something manly and said to myself, it really can't be that difficult. A man did it. Yeah. And I say that with so much love. When I was trying to do woodworking, it can't be that difficult if men can do it, right? Because they don't multitask, do they? Not like women. They can only sort of do one step at a time. So all I knew is that I may need to go one step at a time because that's a man thing, and not do 16 tasks at the same time. And unlike my mind, which gives me one thing and then gives me another and then another and then another, I have to take notes. you know, I've got a really strange mind. There's no doubt about it. I love this. Bio, adoptive, foster, step. It's not the word before father that defines us, but rather the love and dedication in the father's heart, right? Whether he's biological father or an adoptive father or a foster father or a stepfather, doesn't matter. Did he play the part that you wanted? Oh, interesting. What did I just say? What did you um what did you want to share with your mom? Kristen, I just want to make sure that I know what it was that you loved so much. And if it was a quote and you'd like the quote, just let us know, and Jody will remind me, and I will. Can I send you the quote? Yes. I have a way of. Do I have a way of sending you something? Did you write to me at DearMamaSal@gmail.com? Okay. If not, do that, and I will gladly share the quote with you. Oh, the mantra. I cannot, something, Kristen, when I think about how many, I can remember, building something and going to the equivalent of Home Depot overseas. And it was so funny, Kristen, because I had this whole plan that I drew up, because I wanted to make this particular thing. And when I got to this woodworking guy, and I'm talking 50 years ago, right? Well, more. I was in my 20s, right? And I'm 75 now, so think about that. Early 20s. So, it was at least 50 years ago. And I literally went in there and said, okay, this is what I need you to cut for me because I want to build this thing. And he said, did you say you want to build it? And I said, yes. And he said, have you ever built anything like this before? And I went, no. Oh, he said, I tell you what, why don't we give you the start of it? And then when you got that bit together, you can come back to the rest, because then you'll be able to measure the hole and we can cut the doors to fit. I said, I see. Okay. Anyway, so I built the rest of it. And when I came back, I had the same plan with me. And I said, can I have the doors now? And he said, are you sure they're the same size as you wanted them originally? I said, why wouldn't they be? How did you do that? I said, what? How did you do that? I said, probably the same way that men do. I measured them. I used a spirit level. I checked it regularly and adjusted it until it was square. Isn't that what men do? Yeah, how did you learn to do that? I said the same way men did. It was just like, hello? Can I have my doors now, please? I was saying to Ciora, who's helping me downsize my shed, I said, we are going to find so many tools in there. Most men would give. I can remember I remember sometime I had a guy in my life and he suddenly said, you wouldn't happen to have a router, would you? Because I know you've got all sorts of stuff in that garage of yours. I said, sure. What sort of router would you like? And he said, what do you mean? You got more than one? I said, I think I got 5. It depends what you want to do. And I had always dreamed that when I retired, I would have time to play with these things. Yeah, right. But I will start bringing them out and show them to you so you can see I'm not joking, that I actually do own these things. One of the things Ciora said to me, funnily enough, was, you don't happen to have in that shed of yours a table saw. I said, uh-huh. And she said, no, I don't mean a chop saw or a jigsaw. I mean a table saw. I said, uh-huh. Got one. Really? I said, yep, got one. And we're going to be getting it out soon because she wants to use it to build me something. But you understand, will it still work? I don't know. It's been in there for a long time, been a couple of years now. Tom Wolfe said he adopted a role called being father so that his child would have something mythical and infinitely important as a protector. Yeah. How many of you remember your father as being your protector? Oh, interesting. Kristen is saying it's amazing. My dad would be so jealous. I want to tell you something. When I took that guy downstairs and showed him just how many tools I had and the quality of them, he just about freaked. He said, I know men that would die to have your workshop. And whenever I was doing leadership training and the young people would need something, and I'd say, and the facilitators, head facilitator or whatever, they'd just say, you need to go see Sal. Why? Sal's got a full workshop. You cannot believe what she's got in that workshop. And if we need that built, then go see Sal. She's got all the tools and she'll let you use them and teach you how to use them, which is most important, how to be safe. But then she'll let you use them. And I cannot tell you how many times I had a crew of young people in my garage using all my tools to make something, for an event we were doing. And to me, it was, some of my greatest memories was that I was that figure in a way for quite a few young people. And I can remember how many young people, both male and female, told me they were never allowed to use their father's tools. He never taught to use them, never allowed to use them, way too important. And my attitude was, I will allow you to use all my tools if you know how long it took me to put them together, to get them, to pay for them. And if you understand that I might never be able to afford to get them again, and that's important. But if you treat them with the respect that you treat me, then you're more than welcome to learn, and I will teach you how. And I've got pictures of young people covered in sawdust and with smiles to just break your heart. And I can remember one of my memories of Benji, um, you know, was that when we were doing one leadership thing, and he was watching Doug, who was then a participant. I think it was Doug. Anyway, watching a participant trying to hammer in nails, and he literally came on and said, "Let me do that for you," and because he was good at it. No, I lie. I lie. It was a woman he pushed aside. Not pushed aside, but said, "Hey, let me do that for you." And I stopped him and I said, "Don't do that. She has never been allowed to use tools. You let her hammer away. I don't care if it isn't straight. You let her do that job. The way that you got good at it is you were allowed to do it. She's never been allowed to do it." And by the time that weekend had finished, I had her, you know, on my chop saw and all sorts of things. She just died and went to heaven. And I remember her daddy came to pick her up, and I happened to be close by when he came to pick her up. And she said, "Dad, Dad, Dad, you'll never guess what this lady did." And he said, "What was that?" And he said, "She let me use tools, all of them." I've used, power drills, and you could tell the way I've used power drills and a chop sword, and and he said, "What? I thought this was a leadership thing." I said, "It is. You see, leadership, sir, is not a title. Leadership is called bringing the best out of people. And that, to me, is the job of a leader, is to bring out the best in people. And it doesn't matter whether they're male or female as to whether they should use tools. If they have an interest in tools, let them play. Let them be safe. Teach them how to be safe. But let them play. You will be amazed at what their creativity will do for them. And I look at it now, and it is, to me, whenever I did leadership training, I would explain to people, my job is not to tell you what to do. My job is to teach you to be the best you can be. And people would come up to me and say, Sal, have I got time to go and get my binder and go and do X, Y, and Z? I say, I have no idea. Have you? What? Have you? Have I what? Have you got time? Well, we're running late and the program is about to start. And I said, so the reason you're asking me, is so that I'll cover for you. Is that it? Make a decision. You see, I think that's leadership, don't you? Not that I can give you permission and I'm going to cover your butt because you forgot your binder. No, that I make you make your own decision. Whenever young people came to me and afterwards, and whether it's Benji or Cisco or any of the other people that you know about, whenever they phone me up and said, Sal, I got a problem. What do I do? And I said, well, tell me the problem so I can understand it, and let me ask questions so I can really understand it, and then I can give you my experience and my knowledge. But what you do is up to you, not up to me. And I'd listen and I'd ask questions, and then I'd say, okay, fine. What I hear is this, 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 and this. Have I got it right? Yep. And I go, okay. I've had experience of this, and this is what I did, and this is why I like what I did, but this is why I didn't like what I did. I can say that now from experience. This is what I've heard other people have done. But this is also hasn't gone right for everybody either, because you see, nothing is guaranteed. But have you talked to anybody else? No, why would I talk to anybody else? I'm talking to Sal. And I go, no, you need other people's input. You see, if you ask a lot of people, you're going to get a lot of different ideas. And then you go with the one that sounds best to you at this time of your life. And understand it will not be a mistake. Even if it doesn't work out, it will not be a mistake. It is there to teach you something. And that's why I cannot tell you what to do. You see, I'm not you. I'm not on your path. I'm on a totally different path. And so I would never tell them exactly what to do. I might give them, you might want to think about doing X, Y, and Z or A, B, and C. But, which one you do is up to you. And what I also always said was, it doesn't matter whether it goes right or wrong, I'll still be here. And if you need more ideas, come back to me. I got plenty. You see, to me, I think it's really important that we bring out the best in people, and that I do believe as a leader, and I do believe that that is what our job is, right? To bring out the best in people. I'm pretty sure if I hadn't met Jody 10 years ago, she'd be dead today, because she hadn't had anybody teach her it was okay to live. Just because she was sick didn't mean she had to die. And, to me, it was just like, I wonder if she wants to die. And that was the question I asked, straight up. Do you want to die? You see, because that's what she was busy telling me, not in so many words, but if you read between the lines, everything she told me was she was on her way out of this world. Well, we all are. Now, as soon as we get born, we're on our way out. Some of us have longer journeys than others. But, it's just like learning how to live is a really important thing. But how many of you may have lost your fathers, but he still talks to you all the time, still gives you wisdom? Do any of you have that? Because I think that's beautiful if you do. And to me, we all need to be grateful for these incredible lessons that we've learned. Need to be grateful that we had somebody in our life. And, if I think about it, who taught me these things? Who taught me to play with tools? Who taught me? I did, because I didn't have a father figure that was good with those sort of things. And I knew it couldn't be that difficult if men did it. I mean, I'm not being rude, but really, do you know what I mean? It couldn't be that difficult. Men do it. And I don't think that men are that much better than women, if not actually at all. They just have different skills. And why do they have different skills? Because they get taught them. And so whenever I deal with young people. I work really hard at keeping away from those stereotypes. One of the greatest things I ever saw um, was I was in an airport in Southern California, Orange County Airport, and there was a guy doing needlepoint. A guy doing needlepoint. Yeah, you heard me right. A father doing needlepoint. And, I sat and watched him for probably half an hour. And I just kept laughing and going, oh, that's so smart. Look how many people came to talk to you. And so eventually I got up and I said, who taught you? And he looked up and said, what? I said, I just want to know who taught you. He said, my mom. I always used to watch her do it, and it always looks so peaceful. And it is, isn't it? And I said, I wouldn't know. I'm not good at it. I find it a bit boring, actually. But what I'm fascinated in is what an incredible tool it is to bring women towards you. I said, it's really clever. And he burst out laughing. He said, it's one of, it's one of the hidden advantages of doing needlepoint. And I said, yeah, not for most of us, but for you, definitely. The guy said that he enjoys the status of being a father figure. He's not any more convinced or conceived of as a normal politician, but a larger-than-life figure. He is almost like a museum type of man. That's the feeling that the last tycoon is gone now. I keep thinking about how many of you would have liked John McCain as a father. I wonder why that comes to my mind. I think of some of the father figures that we know publicly, and I think to myself, I bet you he was an awesome father, and I bet he had so much to teach, not about politics necessarily, although he did, but I wonder how much he taught about survival, in your mind, and how to, overcome terrible atrocities and so forth. I cannot believe that you can live with somebody who had his spirit. And we saw his spirit time and time again. He was not a fearful man, was he? And, I look at it and go, he was such an incredibly wise man and so funny with it. You know what I mean? You just knew. And, in a way, I feel so sorry for Lindsey Graham, because the Lindsey Graham that I see since John McCain has gone out of his life is a very different man. And yet I know they were great buds. Yeah, so I look at it and go, there are so many father figures, If you could pick one father, forget your father for a second, don't forget your father. But if you could pick one person to be your father figure from a, a Disneyland moment, who would you like to spend a couple of days with? Which father would you like to sort of spend a couple of days with? Now, some of you are going to say the Almighty, but it's just like, think about that. Who would you like to spend a couple of days with? And learn. And to me, it's just like, we learn so much from so many people if we care to listen. Jesse Metcalf said, I never really had that father figure to look up to. I think that's the reason I'm so ambitious. I felt like I wasn't appreciated as a child, so I wanted to prove my worth as an adult, as an actor. Yeah, Jodie's saying John F. Kennedy fascinated her. Yeah. And yet look at all we know about him today that we didn't know about him way back when we held him up on a pedestal. So it's just like, yeah, but what an interesting life. And I would have liked to have, talked to his son. I bet you that was an interesting life. And the influence of his mother. I would love to have discussed that. So, you look at it all and you go, some really interesting people in the world, aren't there? And, We know that there are a lot of fathers out there who never intended to be fathers. I think some of them made it to Pope. You know what I mean? It's just like, there's so many people that are fathers that really you go, wow, it must be so difficult to live in a world that doesn't accept these things, all right? Oh, Jody's saying, I remember doing a book report on him in 5th grade. Yeah, you don't forget things like that, do you? So we look at it all and go, this is a special day. How about this? There is no teacher equal to that of a mother, and there is nothing more contagious than the dignity of a father. I can remember, to my horror, my one friend telling me that I noticed, actually, it was something I noticed. I noticed she was really always filled up her Sundays full of stuff. You could never get to see her on a Sunday or plan anything where she was going to be there on a Sunday. And I'm not altogether stupid. And eventually I sat her down and I said, you got to talk to me about Sundays. What is it about Sundays? She goes, why? And I said, you're never available on a Sunday, and you always seem to change your mood when anybody talks about a Sunday. So what is it about Sundays that's a problem for you, if you care to share? And you know what it was? On Sundays, her father would beat the children. But because she didn't want her younger siblings to get beaten, she would take the punishment for them. Not all fathers are good. And yet, I met the father, and yet when you met him, you would never dream that would be what he did. But it was incredible how the mother used that as a tool against the children. She would say, unless you do X, Y, and Z, I will tell your father, and he'll deal with it on Sunday. It was like a partnership that did this. And today we know that is, no way to treat children. But, in those days, I guess I thought that was a good thing to do. And so when I think about, that fathers are good, no, not all of them. And yes, but can you understand, Kristen, how it scarred her for life? And it scarred Sundays for life for her. She never saw Sunday as a nice day, because every Sunday her mind would travel. And why wouldn't it? So, we look at these things and we look at the people around us and we go, who do you know that needs a father right now? Right? And maybe they haven't got a male one. Maybe you could be a male father figure for them. You know what I mean? Do the sort of things that they would probably need from a father. Robert Downey Jr. said, do you want to be a hero to my son? Do I want to be a hero to my son? And he answered, no, I want to be a very real human being. That's hard enough. You see, how many of you wish that, your fathers had told you the truth about things more often? And I have to say that there are an awful lot of people that were lied to so much by their fathers and mothers. And so you look at it and you go, I am so happy for those of you who really enjoyed that. Oh, here's a quote from Pope Francis, said, fathers are so necessary as examples and guides for our children in wisdom and virtue. Without father figures, young people often feel orphaned, left adrift at the critical moment in their growth and development. Hi, Carrie. How good to see you, Carrie. Carrie's saying, my dad was a sperm donor and was abusive and shouldn't have been a parent. Yeah. And you know something, Carrie? And look at the wonderful person you turned out to be anyway. All right? And look at all that you've overcome anyway. And so, but Kerry, most of all, for those of you who don't know, Kerry is one of my original viewers from way back when. And that's why I got quite a shock when I saw her name. And you have learned so much. Amazing, strong person. And, you did that even with that background. So nothing to be ashamed of in that at all. So, Kerry, just so that I can pass, can you give us a quick update, in 200 words or less, so that I can share it with the viewers on Facebook and let them know you're okay, which I hope you are. And are you still vaping? And how's the love life? And all those things I'd want to know. Yeah, Kerry said he taught me what to never tolerate in any relationship. So maybe he taught me something good. Yes. Yeah. By his bad example, he taught you good stuff, right? By his bad example, he taught you good stuff. And that's awesome. All right. That is the gift, if you think about it. And, I think that is the gift for a lot of people with bad parents, male or female. That is the gift, is to know how it should not be done. As I said, I hope you don't teach your children everything you know about being a parent. That would be my dream. So, as you go through this week, if you're lucky enough to have a father, make sure you know that they know you appreciate them, not just on Father's Day. Make a point, at least 4 times a year, each season. Say, did I thank my father for being a great father? Because if you did it more regularly, you'd feel a whole lot better. Because one day he won't be there and you won't be able to thank him. And then for all those people who were your father figure. All right. So Kerry's telling me, can I share that publicly? I guess so, as you're telling me, so I can tell other viewers, all right? But she's saying, I'm still single. I'm working on myself and in therapy and group therapy to heal my inner child. Oh, yeah. Takes a long time, Kerry, believe you me. It takes a long time, and so courageous of you to still be doing it. I am so... Are you still vaping is what I want to know. It may be a life work, Kerry. As somebody said to me, I always remember somebody who was on antidepressants. And she said to me, I may be on them for the rest of my life, and that's okay with me if they keep me happy. You know what I mean? It was just like I fought this demon so long and hard. And now I can accept that if I need that help for the rest of my life, so be it. And I thought, we'd say the same if she had cancer or something. It's like none of us want to take these drugs, but boy, if it works, why not, right? You graduated. Well done, Kerry. Congratulations. I'm so proud. Oh, big hugs. How did that feel? Wow. That took a lot of work, all right, for you to be able to do that. Jody, can you make a note of that for me, please? Yeah, and by the way, anytime anybody, treats you like you're stupid, right? Remember that you're not. Oh, I know you're not. Actually, now that I think about it. Because I really want to, may I share that with the other viewers as well? Because to me, that's really important. Okay, so you're still vaping, but not as much. So, and that's the interesting thing. That, it's just like, if you can see that that you are learning to live without it, then you are growing. All right. Can you believe that I've Not smoked for over 10 years now. That's amazing, isn't it? Seems like yesterday. Wow, what a gift you gave me. What a gift you gave me. And I thank you for that. You know, I always said in doing DearMamaSal, I just want it to be somewhere where people can come back to if they ever feel like it. And I don't know what made you feel like it, Kerry, but thank you. Because to me, it was an awesome gift. Ah, that's what I did. I don't know if you remember that, Kerry, but I used to vape menthol. That's what I vaped. I didn't vape tobacco of any sort. I just vaped the. That is amazing. That is amazing that you found that out. I thought it was just me. I found eucalyptus and, yeah, menthol. And what was the other one that I found really helpful for me? Licorice, I think, for some reason. You know, those flavors were really, they replaced. But as you know, I didn't vape for very long. I don't think I would have quit cigarettes if I hadn't vaped, quite honestly. Did you also, Jody? I didn't know that. Oh, you mean that, sorry, medical billing and coding. Okay, yep, I do know that you did that. All right, so what an incredible gift we were given today. Thank you, Kerry, for making my day. To all of you, have a wonderful week. Remember that to listen to that little voice in your head that says, I know it's 5 o'clock, but you need to get up and go and create. Because if I hadn't created, actually, it goes, if I hadn't created the soaps, smells so good, I wouldn't have had the inspiration to create a custom-made box for it, which wouldn't have taken me to printing my own pattern and making a box from it, which then wouldn't have led me to taking my artwork and turning it into a box. So to me, creativity has been an incredible stress relief this week. Kristen loves the boxes too, yeah. So pretty good. And now what I'm learning now to use my herbs as fillers for my plants. Because herbs stay green so long, right? So now not only does my house smell of wonderful herbs everywhere, but also they look so good with my plants, and my roses. By the way, for those who've been following my hydroponics and stuff, I took my third set of tomatoes out and started them. They're about this big, but they're out in the garden now. Let's hope that the weather stays good for them. And then more creativity. These are my homegrown peppers, and they're grown from the seeds of the ones that came from the store, people. Okay, how are they looking? Pretty healthy, huh? So excited. And it was so funny. I had got some food out of the freezer, because I'm trying to eat out of my freezer. And I needed a top for it. And I went, I don't use plastic anymore. I use wax wraps. Who knew? Who would have thought? But that's the new me now. All creative stuff that we can all do. And I am so excited that we are looking forward to yet another week. And it'll be interesting to see. Can you hear the difference in my voice between the stress I've been under for various reasons and getting the help that I needed this week, which gave me the free time to be able to create, and what a difference that made to me, to be able to create again. And if you can feel that in me, I wonder what you need to do for you. And I saw that Sandy came in, and I always love Sandy has these incredible creative things that she does all year, and I have to literally sort of take my can opener and get it out of her. What are you playing with this year? And she always inspires me on such wonderful things that she does. So remember as well, if your air conditioner isn't working properly, there's a reason for it. And if your air conditioner is pumping out 80 degrees out of the back of the hose because it isn't put in there properly, and if the hose itself is so long and pumping out over 80 degrees, and your poor little air conditioner hole is only this big, pumping out 60 something, yeah, the 80 degrees are going to win. You don't have to be a rocket scientist, but sometimes you need to use the meat thermometer to find that out. And that's creative. All right. To me, it's like it's not what it was designed for. But, the same as I take my temperature with it every now and then. It's like it's not what it was designed for, but it really is a very useful tool to have. And so keep being creative. Keep thinking outside the box. Keep challenging your mind and have fun. So all of you, great to see you. I hope that you look forward. We will do the apologies one next week, Jody. I just realized when I went to go and do the broadcast, oh yeah, we were going to do apologies. We'll do it next Sunday. This is Dear Mama Sal saying have a wonderful week, and we'll see you on Friday. Thanks, Jody and Jeannie, for all the hard work you do as my admins, and to all of you, thank you for taking the time. Kerry, I hope my reaction was enough to tell you what an honor to see you again. It really was. It's wonderful. This is Dear Mama Sal saying have a great week, and bye-bye for now.